It seems like every day we're getting closer to Cyberpunk. The Visa, MasterCard, Steam, and ISO, and the whole payment situation is getting out of control. In fact, it's gotten so out of control that even the White House has gotten involved. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Quickie Leaks, where the only thing dirty in the show is the title. Which is kind of ironic because this whole situation when it comes to Valve and MasterCard is it should not have gotten as crazy as it did. So before we get started, I would like to do a disclaimer. We at Mousepad are against sexual violence and the exploitation or sale of adult content to minors, or in the case of sexual violence of anyone, including minors. I shouldn't have to say that. It should not have to be the case. But this is a weird topic that we're going to get into. Also, please ignore my allergies, my sniffles. I'm going to try and cut that out as much as I can. If I'm touching my nose, it is specifically because I am out in farm country and I'm used to being on the coast. And yeah, it's been fun. I finally got a prescription that helps me deal with it, but I still have residual itchy effects. So my apologies. I've written down some notes, and I'm going to go over this. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. And this is a whole learning experience. I'm honestly not used to. I'm still learning recording. This is a new channel, so please hit like and subscribe. Also, if you'd be so kind to look at our links or look at other channels such as Mousepad Entertainment, our main channel, and the channels that will come out later, such as we're going to do Dungeon Rats, which is going to be more so our tabletop gaming, and other things like that. So let's get to it. Wow. So Valve and MasterCard. Well, let's start from the beginning. Around 2 weeks ago, a organization, let me make sure here. The organization Collective Shout decided to reach out to Valve and other game, not developers, but game publishers to delist not safe for work games. Now, originally, when they put out the memo, they said that it was specifically anti-incest and anti-sexual assault. On a personal level, not Mousepad, but just Josh, Mr. Fox, I get it. I don't like that idea either. But we're going to get into why they are in the wrong, and it's not because of morality, because morally, I agree. I know it's a hot take, but it's a lot more complicated than it makes it out to be. For one, there's already laws in place to actually deal with that kind of issue. All right. So if anything is detected that actually deals with actual minors being exploited or actual sexual assault, that content's immediately taken down and there's an investigation put in. But that's not the case because these are video games which are animated with fictional characters. Now, I'm not saying it's morally right, but technically speaking, no one was actually hurt and no one was breaking any laws in the development or sale of these games. Why this is an issue? Let's go over my notes here because I've been researching this. And everyone's got a hot take on it. Everyone's got a cold take on it. The issue is that, one, Valve is an American company. If you don't know who Valve is, they're the owners of Steam, and they do publish their own games. But for the most part, they are simply a platform for games to be sold. So developers and publishers can go through them to list their games out. And then usually someone uses either MasterCard or Visa or even PayPal to do the transaction to purchase the game and then to download it and then to play it. Right? So they get a license key and then they can access that game or even or then download it and then they have it on their hard drive. That's how it's been for the last 20-ish years, give or take, ever since Steam opened up. Now, here's where the issue is. This is not the government coming down. This is not the US government. This is not even a notification from the UN or anything of that nature. This was a nonprofit from Australia. What are they called again? Collective Shout? Yeah. They are a feminist activist group in Australia, and they're known to be anti-pornography and anti-porn companies, and they have officially reached out to Valve and itch.io to remove games involving those content. Now, here at Mousepad, we're all about sexual freedom, as long as everyone's consent and everyone is above age and it's supposed to be fun and happy. It's not supposed to be some sort of dark thing. It's all about bringing healthy mindsets to that industry. So them having an issue with porn in general, I have a gripe with. Them having issues with anything that involves violence or exploitation, I understand when it comes to real people. So when they had to deal with that, because apparently in 2020, they went after Pornhub for that exact reason, and they used the same tactics of targeting the financials, such as Valve and MasterCard, the ability to make payments to those sites. Once again, I get it. When it comes to the exploitation of minors, I want that out. I want that done. Okay, that puts the adult industry into a bad light, because I don't think anyone who is an adult, preferably 20 up. I don't like the idea of 18, but that's me personally. But the law says 18. I think at that point you're still a kid. But at, consenting adults who understand their contracts and who go into this, at minimum, they're fine with it. At better and best, they enjoy the work. There should not be a stigma about that. The adult industry has been around since the Roman Empire. In fact, it's been around before that. Read my expose and my philosophy about it. But this collective group from Australia decided, we're going to go after the video game industry when it comes to not safe for work material. All of it. Now, they put out memos saying they deny that they don't go after all not safe for work games, but there have been declines from Visa and MasterCard and payments when it comes to regular. When I say regular, not safe for work, I mean, like I said, normal adult content, not extreme, violent, or weird imagery. Now, if someone's morality says, well, all adult content is weird imagery, that's your own personal take. We're talking just general logistics here. Linguistics, not logistics. My apologies. But the fact is that they've inserted themselves, giggity, into this industry trying to make a difference. But the problem is that this was not an American nonprofit. And even if it was, they are bullying and exploiting with pretty much bad PR as a weapon against the banking companies to force them to say, hey, we don't want transactions being done in this environment. So I have been studying this for a little bit, around 2 days, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I've had a little bit of time on my hands. So we're going to talk about why this is not good, why they are in the wrong. One, they're acting to be the morality police. One, it's a free country. We can do whatever we want as long as no one gets hurt. That's my opinion. They're just, their idea of people, men and women, who enjoy adult content must be morally reprehensible. That's ridiculous. Everyone is complicated. Everyone has multiple facets to them. So to just narrow a box when it comes to gamers or when it comes to enjoyers of content, to just lump them in as you're less than me, is already a very weird place to be as a nonprofit, to say that you have the high ground compared to everybody else, and to insert yourself in going, no, this whole industry is bad and we're waging war against it. When, like, if they would just go after the ability to do sales in their home country, this would not have been a news cycle. This would have just been, oh yeah, look, another thing that got censored in Australia. Yay. But it would have blown over within, I'd say 2 days, give or take, until the next thing happened where the news cycle would have changed and the new story would have made that story old and we were just forgotten about it. But no, they decided to go after the largest distributor of video games in the world, which is Valve, aka Steam. I use Steam. I love Steam. It's I have so many games on Steam. I might have used Xbox, I might have used PlayStation, but I usually double down on and make sure that I usually wait until there's a sale, but I usually double down and make sure I have the same games that I usually have on those consoles on Steam. That way I always have it in case maybe that system expires, the console itself. We all remember Xbox 360 and the Red Ring of Death. So they, and when I say they, I mean this nonprofit, should not be able to bully a financial company to dictate what is art and what is entertainment and what is morally reprehensible. That's not a financial institution's job. Sure, we can there's laws where a financial institution goes, "Hey, because it's illegal, we are not processing this." That's fine. Nothing here was illegal. Everything was actually above the board. And I'm sure that I'll cover this tomorrow when it comes to what the responses has been from Valve. But I can tell you right now that the main what is her name? I forgot. I'm gonna have to pull it up later. But the main organizer of this nonprofit has called this a new Gamergate because gamers have made a response, one, to not act out of anger when calling the hotlines of Visa and MasterCard, because let's be real, it's not the customer service fault. Okay, the idea is to affect change, not to be the villain, right? So in order to do that, we as gamers have to take the high ground and be better than what they think we are, while also standing our ground in what we believe in, which is non-censorship. In the end, this is not about gooners or sexual content. This is the first steps of raw censorship, because what happens when they go, oh, well, sexual violence is not good. In fact, let's get rid of all non-war violent games. So GTA, Saints Row, stuff like that gets wiped out. As in, they force the banks, we cannot pay for that. And then what that does to publishers and developers, they go, well, we're not going to invest in creating these games if they're just going to get blacklisted. What happens after that happens? They go, oh, actually, all war is bad, and we are just righteous people, so we are going to make it so you can't buy war games. So Arma 3, Call of Duty, Battlefield, CSGO. You can no longer get them. You can no longer use payment to acquire them. Now, I know CSGO, technically speaking, is free, but any transactions when it comes to skins or any sort of bonus content that you can get would still apply, because no matter what, it's still a financial transaction. It's not about all this censorship talk. They try and deflect and say it's to protect the kids, or it's a group of gamers who are gooners. If you don't know what gooners is, look it up. It's kind of disturbing, but that's just a common term now. They'll say that it's a bunch of gooners or incels that are attacking us because we're women. No one cares that you're a feminist activist group. What they care about is that you are trying to put your thumb on the scale about what you think is morally right and trying to change the world, when all you're doing is encroaching on other people's freedom. No one's getting hurt with this content. No one, it's, well, they're going, well, what if it inspires somebody? to do something that heinous. Okay, two things. One, if they do something that heinous, they'll get prosecuted and probably get the chair. Secondly, is that's not your job. If you want to go after real organizations that promote actual violent acts against minors or women with sexual violence or exploitation, me personally, go for it. Go, like, I want those people to be done. I don't want anyone to be hurt. Like I said, when it comes to Mousepad, we are all about accountability. So we, as gamers, need to be accountable for the bad actors in this. There's also the adult industry that needs to be accountable for the bad actors in that industry. But that's already being taken place. In fact, this has gotten so out of the ballpark. It's gotten so weird that President Donald Trump signed an executive order. What was that called? Hold on. I don't have my phone on me. Oh, there it is. Hold on. I'm going to pull this up. What was that called? There it is. The Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans. An executive order that essentially says you cannot bully banks into going by your terms of service. You cannot stop. And banks cannot deny payments because of bad reputation. That's actually something that MasterCard has actually put out, that they can deny service if it is bad reputation. Now, does Trump probably want that to be like, hey, bad, like, don't deny services if you find out that an influencer is conservative? Sure. Please note, I'm independent. I'm not on either side, so this is just me spitting facts. But I bet Byron, his son, probably heard about this when it came to gaming and was like, hey, Dad, we kind of need to jump on this. Someone's trying to censor gaming and take away and trying to be un-American, because freedom of speech and freedom of expression is a core attribute. It's the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Now, I understand the world is not America, but Valve is an American company. Visa and MasterCard are American companies. Sure, are they international? Yes, meaning that they have sales international. So they abide by international laws, meaning if this group wanted to say, hey, Valve, don't do sales of these games in Australia, and they kind of have a long-winded argument and it goes back and forth, but eventually Valve goes, you know what, fine. If you are using a Australian IP address, we will deny certain sales. Now, VPNs exist. But that's still a way that could be a logical, legal way to do things, right? But they're telling the company to cancel all transactions because they feel that it puts women in a bad light when it comes to sexual expression. I'm sorry, but isn't the whole idea of individualism one way or another? It's about leaving things to the individual choice, whether it be me purchasing a game that might be not safe for work, or a model that decides to use her assets to make money on a site such as OnlyFans, which, by the way, Visa and MasterCard still allow transactions to go through there. So the moral high ground isn't even a real argument on this regard because they decided to go after gaming. Now, like I said before, if they are trying to just go after games that are extremely messed up, from my personal opinion, I get the concept, but it doesn't matter because it's still not their decision. It's not their call. Can they raise awareness of this? Sure. That's what a nonprofit I thought was supposed to be about, is to let the public know what is going on and how we can make things better, right? To bring awareness to the bad and to try and enlighten the good. So this this is just one of the stories that we're going to go over. It's there's so much. I barely used the written notes that I was on. I kind of went on a rant. But thank you for chiming in. This is Josh over at Mousepad. Thank you for chiming into Quickie Leaks. You know the drill. Live easy. Keep it cheesy. Fox out.
A Mousepad production. Please like and subscribe. Our links are in the description of this content. Thank you.